Good morning and welcome to the morning break on Breaking Times. My name is Abbas Muhammad, and with me here in the studio are
Barry to the wall.
Also, Serena. Good morning, Barry.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Mohammed.
But you
Good
guys are
morning.
looking beautiful.
Thank
Oh, thank you
you.
so
And
much.
so are you.
Say as well.
Thank
Nice to
you.
have you both in the studio today.
Thank
Without
God it's Friday.
Yeah,
thank God
it's
it's
Friday.
Friday, or as my Hausa people once said in a trend, Tigif.
Did you? Shout out to the house.
All right. So without wasting much time, we'll be moving on to the news segment, starting with politics. The news headlines on politics today. Benue State House of Assembly rejects 2 out of the 8 commissioners nominated by the governor. President Tinubu in Japan for TICAD 9. Our third news headline says that the Chief of Defense Staff suggests that the citizens learn basic combat skills for self-defense. And finally, the Katsina State Commissioner for Internal Security says the mosque attack was a reprisal attack. So starting with the first news headline, Benue State House of Assembly rejects 2 out of the 8 commissioners nominated by the state governor. And this brings the question that why is the state governor, nominating commissioners that are not passing through the interview stage or the interview stage by the House of Assembly. It says here that one of the nominees nominated by the governor, a professor of law, an associate professor of law, Yangian Onguga, sorry if I'm not saying that name correctly, was a lecturer at Benue State University, and there were petitions from some of his past students alleging victimization and abuse by this associate professor as a lecturer. So, and this is one of the reasons why he was disqualified by the State's House of Assembly. So now that begs the question, what sort of background check did the governor conduct on this person before nominating him? Sometimes you might think, okay, due to nepotism, you might just suggest anyone, but then it's good that, the House of Assembly rejected him due to this background check. So, Barry, what do you think about, the nominations or what they call nepotism, the nepo kid? What do you think about this nepotism move by the governor, to suggest someone that is deemed incapable?
I I wouldn't like to call it, a nepotism move, basically, because let us agree he didn't know. He didn't know because we are not in the governor's mind. We don't know if he knew about, this background. And then it also begs the question, where background checks done on this person, adequate background checks done on this person before he was nominated and all that. Then also, it's kudos to the house, because you're not a rubber stamp, assembly. Basically, they did their due diligence. They screened him, and they were able to, find out, this, did background checks on him as well. They did their own. So they didn't just, okay, because the governor brought this list, so we must approve it. And opposed to what is happening, at the federal level, where we have rubber stamp legislature. They have proven to, not be those kind of people. So it's a laudable, event, that happened, and it speaks to our, system, that it can work. Our system can work if, they are giving, the independence, that they deserve. So yeah, sure.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, banking on Serena, a question for you too. Banking on the issue of, let's say, the governor was ignorant of the, certain characteristic of this person he nominated. What do you think about his aides, that were supposed to, you can say that the governor might not be able to do everything himself, he might not be able to gather all the information he needs or wants. So what do you think about those under him, that might have suggested this particular person? Do you think it could possibly an issue of, political compensation?
No, I feel like it's a huge embarrassment to these people. He should have done his bid. He should have ensured that these people are properly being scrutinized. So it's a very huge embarrassment to them. He should have done his bid. He should have ensured that people under him everyone does their bid.
Sure.
So that's what I just think.
But then do you have any other thing to add, on the issue? Or you believe that, yeah, that should be a proper check next time,
There should be a proper check next time.
All right, then moving on, President Tinubu in Japan for TICAD 9. There's a lot of funny stories, rolling around this particular event at Tokyo, the Tokyo International Conference for African Development. This is actually a good move, from Japan, pushing technological and in general terms, African development and hosting an entire conference for this. So the issue now here starts from, when the event started. A Twitter user, sorry, I cannot remember his handle, came online and said the Nigerian booth reserved for Nigerians to portray, the development going on in Nigeria was unmanned. It was empty, there was no representative. Exactly, there was no representative, nothing. And he had to step in as a Nigerian in diaspora out of his patriotic mind. He stepped in and, was speaking to these people until I think a representative was sent from Nigeria. So now, here the issue lies at where the response the federal government gave, saying that they had other important bilateral talks in Japan. That was why they were not there for an event I believe they knew beforehand, and they must have sent delegations, with taxpayers' money. So now the issue here lies at President Tinubu being there a day after the event. I think it's a 2-day event, and we're just starting hours. On the second day, we're opening hours. We're having an opening ceremony the day that the event is supposed to close. So what do you think about this scenario?
I feel it's quite sad. It's really quite sad that this would happen to us, because we claim to be, the giants of Africa. So if there was any booth that was supposed to be more manned or more represented, it should have been the Nigerian booth. But taking the back seat where you have other countries, like Sudan, they are taking these things seriously, and then we take this with such levity, and then give silly excuses that we are attending other talks. Weren't these other nations, attending other talks, even in Japan and as well? But our country, we are so used to excuses, giving excuses and letting things slide, and it's really appalling. Really, I find that quite appalling. And well, I like the fact that the Nigerian in place, stepped up and represented our country, even if lots of money is like we have several ambassadors. A lot of monies are put into this, and to just leave it bare, no person understand. It's disgraceful, it's shameful as a nation. I felt so much shame. I can't call it second-hand shame, it's
just directly.
Yeah, that's lack of preparedness now, and the fact that Nigerians have to cry out. This is a very big shame to get. I mean, like people were on the trip, so what were they doing there?
Yes.
What were they? Yeah, what were they? No, it's just
true. The issue here is there's actually there were delegates there. It's not like there was no one there. Like you mentioned, there's an ambassador of Nigeria to Japan there.
Yes.
So what exactly is his role? Is his activities not centered around representing Nigeria in a foreign country?
In fact, there's no excuse for this.
Exactly, there's no excuse for it. So the fact that our president, has to be there, even though he was there, he represented us well. He spoke to the prime minister. He explained certain progress we've made, the Nigerian Air Force, and how Japan International Cooperation Agency is planning to invest in the African Development Bank and certain issues, it's commendable. But the issue here now lies around the lapses we displayed, the lapses in the government where we displayed over there. It does not show professionalism. It does not show.
It just portray that we are not even serious.
Exactly. So it's not just speaking about those that went to represent us. It's also speaking to us as a nation. It might close down opportunities for the citizens that might be interested, in things like this to further push the country out there.
No one takes you as seriously.
Exactly. Because if your leaders are not seen as serious, then talk more of the citizens. All right, now moving on, which I find very interesting here. The Chief of Defense Staff, charges citizens to learn combat skills for self-defense. Now remember, Chief of Defense Staff, this is the highest I would say appointment under security in Nigeria. If he's pushing towards citizens to learn combat skills, in just a summary, what do you think about that before we go deeper into it?
It's basically saying
they can't protect us.
Do you understand? It's basically preaching the message that everybody to yourself. You're every man for himself, and And it's a very, very bad message. Even as much as, you would say, okay, the times are not so good right now, and the level of insecurity, but it's a very, very bad message, sent to the citizenry, because that means our security infrastructure has failed. For them to say, okay, Omo, everybody learn how to fight. Normally, I can actually choose to learn how to fight, but for the chief of security telling me and advising me that nah,
Yeah.
okay, something is
It's
wrong.
a shame that the country can no longer protect its citizens, so we have to protect ourselves.
Self-defense.
Self-defense. Like, it's a really, oh my
You know,
God.
the topic is more wider than that, because the same chief of defense staff has linked the surge in killings to the 2027 general elections. In his statement, what he mentions here is that some of the insurgency, the insecurity we're seeing presently is as a result of certain political interests. He said if the country is at peace, then it will seem that the government is progressing, it's doing the right thing. And then there are certain people behind the scenes, probably opposition in political parties, making moves to ensure that people are armed, or some terrorist groups are armed, to hinder the security of the country. So now the issue here lies at him saying it is linked to the 2027 general election, and he also mentioned that certain legal steps are not allowing them to name, or are not permitting them to name the individuals or some individuals involved in this kind of thing. So now, if the chief of defense staff is saying this, what is the hope for us?
Yeah, I mean, how do we come out to vote? Like, go out to vote
Exactly
during the elections? I mean,
I'm actually surprised. Yes, quite all right. We have a very intelligent military force in Nigeria. I can give that to them, but it's what they get to do with this information. Like, they said, okay, it is being sponsored, by opposition, like, so to speak, being sponsored by the opposition. So the fact that these insecurity attacks are being sponsored, by certain, what are they doing about
what
it?
measures are being put in
What
place?
are they what measures are you putting, like, to apprehend, to question these people, to what? It's not okay to just speculate, drop this thing, okay, blame, that's one thing. Like I said, all we do is this whole blame game. Okay, we blame this, we blame that, abdicating responsibility. You are the chief security officer. This is not supposed to be going on under your watch.
True.
You're supposed to be doing something about it. And it's not okay to just, throwing blames up and down. Okay, what are you doing about? Okay, certain people are making the land ungovernable. What are you doing about this?
Sure.
So are they supposed to get away with it? These people that are doing it, because, okay, they are from, so does that make them above the law? Yeah, these are the questions. Okay, you know the people behind it. What are you doing with this information that you have? And that's basically it. We're tired of hearing stories. We're tired of hearing propaganda up and down. What is the actual work being done? These people are making government ungovernable.
And
Do the necessary. You have
Yeah.
been given, the resources. You have been given the men, whatever it is that you need to ensure that there is security and peace in this nation. You're supposed to, if it has not been adequately provided, you're supposed to demand for these things, because if Nigeria is not safe, you and I can't be safe.
Exactly.
And that's the truth.
And the thing is not even just affecting us in Nigeria. Recently, a court in Canada tagged the political parties APC and PDP as terrorist groups.
Yeah,
organizations,
terrorist
So you can
organizations,
imagine
yes.
if the leading party and the previous leading party are being tagged as terrorist groups by outsiders, a foreign country. What does that say more about us? If you are saying it is linked, if already the chief of defense staff is saying it is, all these insurgencies and security issues are linked to the elections, so that means we already have a narrow target. If a foreign court is saying APC and PDP are terrorist groups from their own findings or from what they know, then what are we doing internally to try and clean this up? And cycling back on his message about citizens learning combat skills like taekwondo, that
Yeah, I actually love to learn.
he actually furthered it to say learning combat skills now should be a survival skill, just the same way we have normalized, learning to drive, learning to swim. These are like basic daily skills that we learn. So imagine if we have reached a certain stage whereby we are being made to learn combat skills. And not only that, if we are being told to learn these combat skills, and the people who are actually fighting against, okay, yes, everyone is learning to protect themselves. If the people are protecting ourselves again, okay, sorry. He also mentioned on my without weapons. Sorry, let me get the right term here. He mentioned learning combat skills that were not linked to using weapons. And he also mentioned the National Youth Service Corps program to incorporate, here's the word, unarmed combat.
No, this is very
Harry,
funny.
imagine your dad telling you that he can no longer protect you, he can no longer feed the family, he can no longer lead. You know, that is it. You're basically on your own. So that's what they've done. They're asking us to learn combat skills to protect ourselves, to defend ourselves. I mean, the country can no longer protect us.
No, but I'm even surprised that he's saying that we should go after people who are armed with ammunition,
So
with
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 just common
our
skills.
with our
Like bare hands.
You're going
punching
to fight
and
them.
it's very laughable. It's very laughable, coming to a gunfight with hands.
Yeah.
It makes
Not
no
even a
sense.
knife.
It really, you should level the playing ground. Just like America did. Legalize weapons and let's see how far.
Let's have our own First Amendment. Let's have our own First
So that is why
Amendment.
Nigerians are leaving the country. I mean, you can't blame them. You can't blame them because of how insecure.
The insecurity,
But-
and then this is it's quite funny also, because we see the incident in Jos where a farmer, on his farm was attacked by a herdsman, and he used the herdsman's weapon, to unalive him. Used the herdsman's weapon that he was going to use to unalive him, and then this man was sentenced to jail and to death by hanging because he defended himself.
Is this the combat
Is
skills
this-
we are told
Is
to
this
learn?
the same combat skills that they are telling us to learn? So that means, genocide, it's setting precedents. Nobody wants to. In fact, it actually makes no sense. Okay, the person was trying to defend their lives, and then he shouldn't have defended his life. He should have let the man
Succumb.
unalive him.
And then he makes the headlines for being one of the victims.
One of the
many
because
victims.
do you understand? We don't even get to hear their names.
True.
We just see numbers these days, and we're like, okay, it's one of the many numbers. It will have been one of the many numbers. We won't have even know who his name is.
True.
It's really sad as a nation.
So, well,
It's sad.
adding to your point, about legalizing the weapons, just like firearms,
No,
I
it
think
has
it should be, it has its negative side,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah,
if
of
we're
course it
already
has,
being
it
pushed
has.
to learn combat skills, I believe this is something
They
we
should
should also
take it a
take
step
into
further,
consideration.
Level
Just
the-
like the Chief of Defense Staff mentioned that the National Youth Service Corps should also teach, or the way he suggested learning on armed combat skills. I think they should, since this is a program manned by the military, the man over this. I believe is a safe environment for us to learn how to use arms. And I believe it is also yes, I believe so, because
Yeah.
I believe this is a
It's
starting point.
paramilitary training,
Yes, it is a
yes.
starting point, because you can imagine how many coppers we have every year, every batch, every stream, the numbers that we have there. So imagine if each of those these corps members actually have armed skills coming out there. Yeah, it does not necessarily mean we jump into conclusion, okay, they can start holding weapons. No, we
But
start
we
from
know
somewhere.
how
They
to-
have the skills. These are people that
Yes.
are deemed, these are people that have passed through the education, that have passed through the university, where they have been deemed fit in character and in learning, and then going through the scrutiny and training of soldiers, the man of war, the civil defense. So I believe these are people that should be allowed to also hold arms. If the number of coppers already have the right to bear arms already, you can, I don't know if you get where I'm going to. We can have a
get
certain
your
level of
point.
protection, because already we
Yes.
have issues like coppers moving when they're about to travel, or when they have been deployed. You can see it on the website saying coppers should not travel at night.
Yeah.
You can imagine a whole organization headed by like the military telling you not to travel at night. This is how unsafe the country has gotten. So, but then if we're having things like this, I believe there's a sense of security that might be increased in the country. Moving on to the same line, the final news on politics. The Katsina State Commissioner for Internal Security says mosque attack was a reprisal attack. Now, the State Commissioner for Internal Security says, there was a massive killing in a mosque, a place of worship in Katsina State, my state. Yeah, very sad that a place of worship cannot be considered safe again to visit or to go and worship. It's not, there's even no safe ground for people to go to, before they will say, now the security measure is don't work at night, there are curfews. But then what happens when you are being targeted in a place of worship? So what the State Security Commissioner is saying here is that a group of citizens in Katsina State moved to, I think, a bandit den or a kidnapper's den, and they rescued some of their own, because I don't know, maybe they felt unsafe, or they did not feel, they didn't
felt
have
the
enough trust.
security
Yes, would not.
apparatus weren't doing
Yeah,
enough.
exactly. And they got their people back, and in a form of revenge or retaliation, these bandits came and just randomly picked a mosque, and they just killed people as a retaliation. So now the question still comes back to what the Chief of Defense Staff says. This is a form of self-defense from the citizens, going to get theirs, going to go and get their own back safely, and they were able to overpower these bandits. So what exactly is the issue here now? If the citizens can practice the said combat skills or self-defense skills that the chief of defense staff is saying, if they can practice it and then it's coming with reprisal like this with innocence, what do you think?
First, I'm really sad. It's a really sad story hearing, the amount of people that are being that they just went to, they had probably had no knowledge of what had happened, and someone just went to worship their god, and then they were being unalived in. It's really sad, but yeah, it's it begs the question. They're asking us to defend ourselves in a certain way, and then we're defending ourselves and then getting unalived by these bandits, and then they are saying, okay, it's because wait, are they supposed to even have kidnapped these people in the first place?
True.
Do these people deserve to be in captivity in the first place? They are basically being the heroes of the day because they didn't see. Okay, we say that we don't talk, we don't communicate, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Okay, it's an American stance. Okay, you don't want to negotiate with terrorists and everything, but what are you doing? What security tactics are you applying towards getting these people back? And you have people being in captivity for years. The Chibok girls were there in captivity for years on ending, and these ones, they just went swiftly and then they got these people out.
But Barry, this doesn't justify it, though. I don't think it's right for us to take laws into.
No, I'm not. But it has gotten a point where they are telling us that we should defend ourselves. So it has gotten that bad. Nigeria has actually gotten that bad. So if it has gotten this bad, what is going on?
Yeah, we all blame it on the system, on the field system. If not, we're not meant to take laws into our hands. That's true. But then the country is doing nothing about it. It's not helping its citizens in any single way. In fact, we are being bullied for killing these people that are actually killing us.
Actually, yeah. And then it begs, everybody wants. We're clamoring for
state
policing, community policing, because the government is really far. As in this security apparatus, because for these people to have gone to find where because they knew where the kidnappers were, got these people and everything. So these are the people, members of the community.
I mean, this brings up the need for state policing.
Yes, community policing. They know where these people are. They know where their hideouts are. It's just once they just
like
inculcate
in
this.
some states, the approval or legitimation of vigilante groups have been done by some state governors, to ban to combat certain these insecurity, because I believe they are equipped with certain knowledge and the terrain knowledge about where these bandits are, and they partner with security forces. But I think this is something they can do more by allowing more citizens. Again, I still agree with your point about legalizing arms. I
don't agree with that.
I seriously.
Let's level the playing
ground. It's not like something you just.
It can be removed. The legislation can be removed, but for now, where we are,
a lot can happen in one day.
Yeah, but then there's a certain, it's not like anyone is allowed to. Like I said, like this chief of defense staff mentioned, the NYSC. I believe that is a good starting point, in my opinion, with the numbers we have in the National Youth Service Corps. But then we'll leave it to the security experts, to do their thing, and we hope that they actually do the best to protect the citizens and our interests. That is all we have today on politics, and we'll be moving on to entertainment by Serena.
Hello.
Oh, Serena.
I bring you the entertainment news for today, starting off with reaction trails Naira Marley's story. Naira Marley came up to say his own side of the story concerning Mohbad's death. He basically said that he wasn't involved in death in any form of way, and in any form. He also said that he never bullied Naira Marley and Mohbad, that they both were on pretty good terms before the musician passed away. So there have been a lot of reactions to this. A lot of persons coming like, okay, so why didn't you speak up since? I mean, since 2013, why now? Okay, a lot of persons are basically countering the things he's saying with receipts. Mohbad was tweeting a lot, and there were also like videos of harassment and all that. So why did he come up since to say like?
No, it's
really been years already. Why now?
Do you understand?
You're thinking that the media would have forgotten.
Yeah, actually, I like the fact that the media never forgets.
Yeah, I
He
like
came out and made certain statements, thinking Nigerians have forgotten. Anyway, Sha, even if our memories may have forgotten, right? Even if he has forgotten, basically, even if he
Even
has
if he has
forgotten,
forgotten.
the internet never forgets, and there are receipts
Exactly.
online to this. And I like the fact, about what just came out. The a voice note that came out, of Mohbad.
Yes. He was
Talking
basically
about
complaining to Naira Marley's
manager
Yeah.
and talking about how all he just wants is peace. Imagine
He was
the boy
describing how they
being
were basically
tortured.
being beaten by Malians.
Yes, it's really sad. So I don't know the whole whitewashing that they are trying to. No matter how much they try to whitewash Naira Marley right now, he may not have been guilty.
A lot of persons
Yes,
were like,
he may not have
yeah,
been guilty of killing this boy, but was he guilty of bullying this boy?
Yeah.
Yes,
We are
he
not accusing him
was.
for killing anybody.
We're not accusing him for that.
Mohammed, I
Was
would like to
basically
hear
it.
what you think
Well,
about this.
personally, I feel like this is something that, like you mentioned, he died since Mobile's death was
23, yeah.
2023, and
Yeah,
then 2 years
and this is
after,
2025.
2025, you are bringing a new
He has to
narrative
wait
and a new
until everything
story.
died down.
Like, what were you waiting? So it feels something that is scripted. Despite I feel like a lot of people brought up this mobile since his death. The issue, they've been using it to trend, they've been using it to chase clouds, different people, different personalities online. But then to have someone also involved, one of the major people being tagged during Mohbad's death, Naira Marley, now bringing his side of the story and claiming certain scenarios, certain truths, because that is his own truth,
Yeah,
to say that they were in good
true.
terms despite receipts that we have online, because the internet never forgets, especially Twitter. They say they will dig your past, they will dig your history.
Nigerians will dig you.
Exactly.
Will dig to your
Exactly. So the issue here now is what exactly is he trying to achieve with this
Yeah,
narrative?
like,
If he has made points like, okay, he doesn't really care, he believes he's innocent, he believes that but then there is receipt. Why has he not come out to plainly defend Mohbad's allegations that, I don't want to call it truth, I don't want to call them false, but then let's say allegations that he has been bullied, that Naira Marley bullied him, Naira Marley's boys bullied him, because he was under his label. So Mohbad now coming out to say his truth years after in a structured and scripted way, then I don't really know. I don't know who to believe at this one, because they say the dead can't speak.
Yeah,
Exactly, the
but
dead
I
can
just
speak.
the dead can't. I basically anybody should come after me, but I blame this all on VDM because it's him that's giving this guy. Do you
That's the
understand?
issue
We
with VDM.
basically cancelled this guy. We basically cancelled because we will not tolerate bullying. We will not tolerate it of any
But
kind.
just
But
that we cancelled him without hearing his own side of the story.
But
Then,
why did he
no,
not
but we
speak up?
had receipts. We had receipts. This boy came out and said a lot.
I only wish he had spoken up then.
Earlier,
Not now.
earlier than he did. But like you said, there were tweets, there were voice notes, there were videos, several incidences, attesting to these claims and these
There were
allegations.
videos.
There were videos.
Kind of,
You
Well-
bullied this boy and everything. So it's really sad that people come out and lie on social media thinking we wouldn't know. We don't have the facts. So
I thought reaction was like, oh, Naira Marley, oh, so sad, I'm so sad for him.
Yeah, maybe personally.
I also got food.
we think, because
I also
VDM
got
during his whole narration, he has been trying to vindicate Naira Marley to the point where Naira Marley feels like he has a right to come out and spew lies and we will not catch him in the act. It's so sad. You are insulting our
You
intelligence.
almost did not
Please
catch me.
stop. Please
Anyway,
stop.
moving on to our next story for today. Priscilla Ojo, Toke Makinwa, unveil baby's gender. Priscilla is pregnant and for a baby boy, and Toke Makinwa is also pregnant and it's for a baby girl. So congratulations to the both.
Yes.
Now, what do you have to say? Because we're used to Nigerian women basically hiding their pregnancy.
Yeah, the whole
they don't want
superstition.
evil eyes to be casted on the baby. So this is something new. So what do you think about? Do you think it should sort of remain discreet, or people should come open about it because there's really nothing happening to anybody?
Mohammed, what
Well,
do you have to say?
I think it's a social media
You can see
culture.
my religion.
It's a social media culture. I don't want to call it a celebrity lifestyle, because we do have celebrities who hide their own pregnancy until they give birth, and then you just a surprise, and because they feel they owe it to the fans. So I feel this is a culture that it's a social media culture that goes against our own like African culture, because I don't believe we do that from the onset. Yes, it is a form of, okay, it is a development in technology that you can see a baby's gender, but then to what end? It's fine, you've seen your baby's gender, but then who are you sharing it out with? It's cool if you're sharing it between you and your partner. Personally, this is my own belief. You're sharing it with your own partner. It is something to rejoice. You get ready for baby clothes, you know what to paint the baby's room, people that go deep into stuff like that. But then when does it cross the line, when you start coming out to display things like this on social media? Personally, I feel like it's something that people have no business knowing. Okay, well, maybe if you give birth, it's fine. You can, share it to the world. Okay, I gave birth to a baby girl, I gave birth to a baby boy. But then going that extra mile, because it's all links to the social media culture of people doing baby shoots now, going to the studio, women going almost half naked, if not naked, in the name of baby bump pictures, and they share these on social media. So I believe all these things are cultures linked to social media that are linked. Personally, I feel like it's a no-no, and it's something that should be stopped and not be encouraged.
But Mohammed, these are celebrities. So if they just come up with a baby, oh, I'm giving birth, be like, was she pregnant? When? Are you sure it's not adopted? People say a lot of things.
I believe unless you're making money from this particular post or information, I believe something it shouldn't be coming. Yeah, if you're making money from it, well, who am I to say about what puts food on your table? Go ahead, announce it, get your engagement, chase your cloud. But then if it's doing nothing, it's just an announcement, and I believe it's something you should just keep private.
For me, like what she was talking about, the whole trend to people coming out is that the whole superstition, because the narrative before was, people holding back these pictures of their children, not just the baby bump. We're not even talking about the baby, of their children, their children's identities was superstitious beliefs. They don't want an evil eye to see, or them getting miscarriages, and not getting to long term, to full term, with these babies, but education, getting exposed, we get to find out that there are other things that could cause complications in pregnancies, not just, spiritual. We are very, very spiritual and religious people in Africa and in Nigeria especially. So it's not just spiritual things that, cause these things. There are other things that, and then they are relieved of that superstition and, free to post, as they would have wanted to, because it's not that they didn't want to before in the time past. It was just because they just felt that, evil eye, certain talks and everything. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your input. Moving on to the next story. Peter Obi's son addresses Nigerians regarding ongoing trolls. They are trolling Peter Obi's son right now. What's his name? Oseloka. I don't know if I pronounced that. I don't know if I pronounced that well. He is a British Nigerian actor, and he featured in a UK's publication called Gay Times. So his picture is basically all over the net right now. People are like questioning his character and all that. Yeah. So are children a reflection of their parents? And should they should they be put under the same scrutiny as their parents? Okay, because your father is running as president or something. So therefore, you should not be doing this, you should not be doing that. I mean, he's not the one running for the presidency.
He's not, but then, it's more like celebrity lifestyle. Your father is famous. Definitely, everybody will be curious.
Oh, the guy just wants to live his life privately.
Yeah, you just really can't right now, because there's one thing with politics. Politics is a very, very dirty game. They dig very, very deep into your past. Past records, if they want to deny you something, they will dig deep, and try to smear you. They'll do they try to, find anything they can use to, form a smear campaign on you and tarnish your image. And if you have done something in your past, definitely they can use this, so more importantly, your family. You understand? Yeah. So they are like basically a reflection of you, who you are. Yeah. Your parental skills, your this, your that. So basically, definitely they will look into his child as well.
I think the angle Barry is coming from is the fact that yes, a child is a reflection of his parents, because if a child is doing well, they'll say yes, he's a child of his parents. So
Yes.
similarly, we should not also deny the fact that if that child is doing wrongly, it's also kind of a reflection.
Yeah, but some
Oh,
persons
yeah.
just want to live their lives, and
Yes, we've seen situations whereby, religious heads, a pastor and imam that has a wayward child and it's not
Yes.
reflecting the child.
And he's a pastor's child.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
a
But then
man's child.
I believe there are certain rules, there's certain upbringing, that comes with raising a child that you already know what it is you have impacted on that child. There's a certain reign that you keep a child, that you use to keep a child in check. To the sense that when they become an adult, even though yes, they are making decisions of their own free will as adults, as free thinking individuals, there's a way it reflects on you. For someone like Peter Obi that is seen, as a hope, as a redemption, as a change in the Nigerian political scene, I believe these are things you should keep in check. Yes, what his child is doing is not necessarily reflecting or does not necessarily mean it resonates with his own ideals, But then at the same time, we should also look at that there's a way he can speak to this child to maintain a kind of image, because it's not like he's denying. Why I agree with Barry saying it reflects the parents' idea, a child's actions mirrors, reflects
Yeah.
on what the parent does, is because Peter Obi has not come out to go against what it is that the child is being dragged on. They say he featured in a Gay Times, and we know that Nigeria is anti the whole LGBTQ community, the whole homosexuality thing. Even if he is not one, his actions is now reflecting on his father. So I believe if truly it does not reflect, if truly his action, Oseloke's actions does not reflect that of Peter Obi, it is something Peter Obi can come out and openly criticize.
yeah.
That
And
yes,
if we
he's my son,
can-
but
I don't know.
I know
feel
if we can recall correctly, Peter Obi said in past interview that his son is actually a teacher. So I don't know.
So he
teaching,
can
acting,
and it's not like he has another son we do not know of.
yeah.
But he can
Anyway,
do
he can be
both.
doing
And
both, right?
who
I mean,
stereotypes this
British
thing?
Nigerian actor, and then
Okay, so then why is he now focusing more on the teacher? Is it that is that a
He
statement
could
or
have
the
he could
result?
have switched from teaching to acting. We don't know about
No,
his
what me
Yeah.
I think is,
personal
what
life and
if that
everything.
was like a statement of its own, saying that okay, is he only acknowledging the teaching aspect that his child
Of his
passes and not the
Probably.
acting?
Yeah,
So is that
probably.
saying that maybe he's also against what the child does on the side? Who knows?
Well, Oteloka released a statement,
Mm.
saying that he was simply doing his job, and he said, and I quote, "I believe Nigeria has far greater issues than idle speculations about what Peter Obi thought." And to be honest, Nigeria has far greater issues.
Oh, we have a lot. We just talked about the security.
because we just keep looking for gossip. We don't-
More information.
It's really sad, but yeah, keeping our eyes peeled on that. Keeping our eyes peeled on that. I like the fact that he came up and said, I am my own person.
Yeah, he
My
came to
father is his
clarify
own
everything.
person. I'm not into politics. I'm an actor. I do this. This is basically who I am. So I understand people being there. I like the fact that he is his own person. Like, not letting his father's name and legacy shape the kind of person that he is. He's being his own person, and I like that for him. And I love the way he speaks. He sounds school no be scam. School no be scam.
Just hearing
Don't
his own-
worry.
people were like, "We believe you."
Very articulated, and that's
Yeah,
that.
it's
Also
very
shows.
articulated.
That shows his father. We're looking at the other. We're looking at the other side. It shows that his father put in so much into his education, and you can see it. Reflective of the way he speaks and the manner in which he conducts
And also,
himself.
he did not sound insulting. He didn't-
Yes.
It was very,
Yeah,
it was
so
very
he knew how
polite
to-
and direct.
Yes.
Moving on to our next story, Osuofia builds free school in Enugu State. I mean, this is a really laudable one, isn't it?
Yes.
The Nollywood actor tweeted himself saying he wants to give back to the society that gave him fame. So he mentioned that growing up, he saw a lot of kids not being able to struggle with their school fees and books and school bags and all that stuff. So he built a school, no books, no uniform, no nothing, just come and learn. I mean, this is really, really empowering, isn't it? Really empowering. Rather than just giving people money, investing in education is something really laudable. What do you think?
Oh, me first. I would have loved.
Okay,
Well,
Muhammad,
go
yeah,
for it.
Muhammad, yeah.
I think I saw that article where he mentioned growing up, the community he grew up in that supported his career. He remembers seeing children going to school without shoes, without uniform or bags and books, and he feels that this is his own way of giving back. But then the other aspect of, no school uniform, I don't know if that is out of
I
context saying,
mean,
or maybe he's just saying that he's going to provide, or he actually means no uniform, you can just come as you are and just attain that knowledge. That's another angle.
yeah,
So if he's saying that, I believe there's a certain standard he has to stick to. If truly, yes, we know his heart is in the right place, but then you have to follow the right process to ensure that this is being done properly, providing uniform, and books. So
yeah,
yes, I believe he should also focus more on that
yeah.
part, because wearing of uniforms is actually a way of
So we can
identifying students.
identify who's a student and who
Exactly,
is
who is
not
not.
a
There's a
student.
way to keep things in check. There's a way to keep things in check. What do you think, Barry?
I don't know. I think, Nigeria has westernized to a certain point. We have westernized to a certain point in which, we've adopted social cultures here and there. So many things that we do that are not part of our cultures. Even this schooling system, even these uniforms that we claim, this is not really, still a Western culture as well. So him bringing in we're coming as you are, we don't know what context he means by that, because we stay here, no books, no
Is he
uniforms
going to
and everything.
provide
Is it that he's
uniforms?
going to provide, or we come as we are? And if he's coming as you are, I don't think it's bad. I actually am welcome to this idea, coming with mufti to school. At least it removes the pressure, on the parents, to keep renewing
But
these
how do you
uniforms.
identify a student? Like, if everybody is just their mouth, so how you know which one is actually a student and which is not you?
That way they are coming to the school. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, they are
okay,
coming to the school, and
okay. And
obviously they will have student ID cards. There are other ways of identification. Sorry,
identification, yeah.
identification. There's student ID cards. There will be passes and stuff. So there are other means of identification aside, the uniform.
Now you
So
know
we
his
don't. And then
shoes.
in the Western world, we have schools that are without uniforms. We have schools without. So if we could have adopted, wearing of uniforms, we can also adopt not wearing uniforms.
Now you know
We're
Muhammad.
changing. Our culture is
He's
changing.
talking
Yeah.
about free education.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that? How does he plan to ensure that these children stay committed? Because this is something free. You're not paying for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So how would they stay committed without paying?
Well, I believe whoever is going for this initiative, saying okay, they are adopting what he's bringing out to them. I believe there are people that will definitely be interested in education for them to come. So definitely they will stay focused. But then we also have issues of, these are people that are either living on the poverty line or below the poverty line, because education is something that should be a basic need that everyone should have. To ensure that these people are coming and sticking to the school education, the free education is providing, I think they also have to adapt to the cultural lifestyle. This is where development communication comes in. The needs of that society. What is it that they need? Why, in the first place, are they not going to school? Why do they not have access to it? And then how is his own going to be different to accommodate these people he feels he wants to suggest education or give education to? So I think there are certain things to take in place. Some of these people and some of these children are children of traders, whom their parents, like I said, were either living on the poverty line or below the poverty line, and they might want their children to sell something before coming, or they want them to man their shops before they go to school. So probably they believe after their education there wouldn't be any job for them to come back to. But then if they have these skills, money is the main thing. We also go to school not only to get educated, to be literate, but also at the same time to find something doing that brings money and put food on the table for us. So I believe they can find a curriculum that balances this.
Yes, they should bring in the morning and afternoon schooling. Basically because of this,
Exactly.
children. Because I remember my parents once told me, yeah, my mom attended afternoon school. My mom attended afternoon school, and it helped her. It helped her because she was taking care of you know this baby, because my grandma loved children. She always had children around her, so she took care of this child. And before she goes to school, that was when she was writing her jam. So she would stay home, take care of the child, then go to school in the afternoon. By the time mom is back, and her education did not need to be put on hold because of responsibility. So this is basically it. Why did we abolish this because it worked for some people. It was working for some people. It should still be an option, you know.
I don't think that can work for everybody.
Yeah, it can work for everybody,
the
but
whole
it
afternoon
should be
school
an
and
option.
everything.
It was working for some people because it's optional. Nobody
I mean,
forces
after
you to
sweating,
be.
after working,
No,
and then you're
yes,
going to school, your head
but
is
they
already
don't like to
hurting.
be denied of the opportunity. It's the denial of the opportunity because these schooling programs take place from morning to afternoon, and then after afternoon it's over, and then by the time it's afternoon they'll be done from their work, and they would actually want to participate. So it creates room for these children, to be part of. They are working. Supporting their parents does not deprive them of the necessary education that they need as children. So I think they should bring it back. It's something that shouldn't have been scrapped out in
Muhammad,
the first
what do you
place.
think about the whole afternoon school?
Well,
and everything? I mean, if Nigeria was so safe, I would have suggested evening school.
I think well, like you mentioned, it cannot work for everyone, but then at the same time it is not for everybody.
It's not for
Like Barry
everyone.
says, it should be an option that should be considered, that these people, that they should know that they have that option, that okay, you can go ahead to do your trading, you can go ahead to look for money, but then at the end of the day you can still acquire this same education. If you feel you can take it, you can create that balance. These people are not demanding that you bend the road that okay, they must accommodate, and you are also not forcing them. You're trying to provide an avenue because you want them to succeed. So I believe they also want that success for themselves, so they would find a way to balance it. It's something I believe they will welcome open-mindedly.
So for our last story for today, update on Lukesh's story. Lukesh shared an update on Twitter that he is safe and he is sound.
Oh, that's good. To hear.
Yeah,
Progress.
that's a really good one. He said, and I quote, "Life threw me a curveball, but I'm safe, healing, and blessed to be here. Grateful for the love, support, and prayers." I pray.
Oh, that's
Anyway, so that will be all on the entertainment news today. I'm Osi Serena. Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you for Mohammed for making this a really interesting segment.
yeah.
Alright.
Thank you very much.
Up next,
Up next, we are moving on to sports, and you will, as you can see in the studio here with me, are two ladies, which does not stick to the cliche that sports is just for men. As you can see, these ladies are about to engage me in the amazing world of sports, and they will give their insight in the
God
news
help
headlines we
I'm a
have.
Barca fan.
Well, that we're already going to start on a debative page if she's a Barca fan. I know that I am a Madrid fan when it comes to La Liga, but then
Oh, well,
let's
Chelsea is leading the leagues for now, so you guys can rest. for now.
again. So I'm against my co-host today because a Barca fan that I do not like because I support Real Madrid, and a Chelsea fan in the EPL whereby I am a Manchester United fan. So we'll see how it goes here. All right, for the headlines on sports. Super Eagles forward Victor Boniface set for AC Milan, medical ahead of loan move. Victor Boniface is moving from Bayern Leverkusen. Sorry if I'm not saying that German name correctly, but I believe football. I'm not fully a football fan, but then I have my teams that I support, and this is not one of them. So my apologies for that. But he's moving from Bayern Leverkusen to AC Milan on a loan move, on a loan deal, and he's going to be there. He's with an option. Okay, he's moving to AC Milan on an initial £5 million loan with a £24 million buy option included. The option is not mandatory, while the striker is expected to sign a long-term contract until 2030. This is showing a very good and great move for Nigerian players, moving up on the scale, moving to a
Yes,
bigger
from
screen, to a
his-
bigger pitch, yes,
yes.
and it's actually really
But then
commendable.
again, when do we build our own? Like they keep taking our good players.
That is also, thank you for very much for bringing that to light. I also agree with what Serena is saying, because while we encourage our own to go international, to go to the big pitch,
What are we doing with our local?
what are we doing with ours?
And
Because
how are we, getting to the international space?
I
Because
mean, we also need these players defending us.
Yeah,
Because we need them representing us, right?
yes,
because-
when we go to the international
true,
space,
because the international, these teams are in other countries, because these are leagues that are not Nigerian leagues.
Yes.
If our own players are good enough to play there,
Play in those
what is
leagues.
going on back home here? Is it that we do not? Is our own league too big for theirs? That okay,
Or
our
perhaps
own
they're
players are
being
not good enough.
appreciated enough.
Exactly.
That's why they're leaving.
Listen, just to, I believe today there was a complaint by one of Nigeria's former Nigerian players, Super Eagle players, that warned his son not to play for the Nigerian league, that he shouldn't make the mistake he makes. And At first, it sounds funny because why is he telling his child not to play? Is
It
it
sounds
because
very
of the
funny.
money? But then you also consider the fact that how well our previous past players appreciated. You know,
Yeah,
can look at the death of
compensated.
Peter Rufai. After his death, you know, that was when some things came to light that he was not really living in good conditions. Like the country almost, actually, I don't want to say abandon him, despite what he has contributed, the success he has contributed in the sports world, in the football world, to the country. So what is it that the government is trying to do, you know, to build our own sports world, to make sure that our own players are appreciated, that without them looking at international leagues and other countries' leagues as their own point of approach, you know, as success, why are they not measuring their success by the Nigerian Premier League?
Yeah, I feel, first of all, our country hasn't really taken the entertainment sector seriously. We haven't, right now we're talking about, the football leagues. We're talking about even the Nollywood industry. You see, our actors, it's international support. They are going to Netflix to, gain, monies, to sponsor certain movies and whatnot. Our government hasn't really got, involved. I mean, there's so much money in this entertainment sector. There's so much money in football, but it's the, being able to, put in these monies. This is where corruption comes into play. Corruption, stopping them from investing these monies, rather than investing into their pockets or buying lands, acquiring lands, putting it into these sectors, where it can, generate more
revenue.
income, and then put our country on the global map. I think it's myopic, thinking, corruption is, like I always say, it's a myopic thinking. You're thinking small, you're thinking of you, you're thinking of yourself. Think about the bigger picture, think about your country, the prestige. You want to be happy if other countries come to play. Chelsea coming to play in Nigeria. It's the thought of it. It's very beautiful. But we haven't even advanced our local leagues to catch up with those foreign leagues and everything. So it's really sad. I really feel like government put in more effort into the entertainment and also taking care of the ones that we have. It starts from the little things. How much our players paid, how often are they taking care of the staff. We heard of the last time we went to represent our country, that certain people slept, certain of our players, the guys slept in the airport. What are the things that they do that that make Nigeria look like caricature, like a joke to the nations, and then support our players entirely. Yeah, it's just Nigeria. It's a story of lamentation,
Well,
constant woes. You look at the
I
politics, you
agree
hear
with you,
woes. You
Barry.
look at the entertainment, you hear woes.
If our own players are being appreciated, why would they leave? Like, no matter how much they're being offered, why would they leave if they are being appreciated at home? They would want to stay and represent.
And if our leagues
Yes,
are competitive,
yes.
because
They want to do better.
because we saw Ronaldo's transfer. We
They
all
would even play.
suspect it.
They would even play better if they are being appreciated.
but
No,
then
I don't think so.
If they are being able to take care of them,
That
they
is
will
why I
play better.
mentioned. That's why I mentioned the Ronaldo taking out.
the question now lies. Okay, before we move on, also a Nigerian striker who plays for the Super Eagles, Akor Adams, joined Sevilla on also a 5-year deal. The question now lies that, Serena, I don't know if you pick this up for me. Is it just about the money? Yes, I know we are pushing for better infrastructure in the sport and the
Yes.
football world. Is it just about the money? Because I know there are people who actually play for the
For-
love of the sport.
Yes.
So if it's not just about do you think it's about the money? Do you think it's about the money?
Like, even if I love something, of course I want to gain from it, and if I can gain more, I will go for the more. So it's about the money to me. It's about the money, yes.
For
I
me,
mean, if he's being well taken care of here, why would he leave? So it's about the money. Even though he loves the sport, yeah, but he should still leave because
But then we
I
do know
feel
that
if people play for the love and for the prestige, certain people don't leave certain clubs. Like, for instance, several players would have been demanded to play in the Arabian leagues, and they would actually go and play there, but they don't get that whole fame and prestige. The Arabian leagues are not in the spotlight right now is the English leagues,
The La Liga.
and the La Liga, the Spanish leagues, and all that are in our forefront right now. So basically, there are two reasons why players play for. First for prestige, because you need to be famous enough to even earn that much. Do you understand? In those other leagues. So yeah,
Well, I think this
it's
is
a balance
something.
and a bit of both.
I believe this is something both our players,
If I
the
were a player, I would play
country.
for the money.
I think it's something the country and the players should also look into. You know, as a patriotic Nigerian, this is something you should actually be selfless about. Give back to the country, give back to society. Although I do commend the players that always come back when there is, they come back for home assignment. They play for the Nigerian league. They play for whenever the country is having matches against other African countries or for the World Cup qualifiers. They're
The
always
country
there to
should also
represent.
give to them.
Well, I agree on that. So the country should also give back to it, make sure that they maintain this cordial relationship, and also to have an investment back into the Nigerian Premier League. Moving on, in the spirit of sportsmanship, Luka Doncic in the basketball world gets sweet high five from Nikola Jokic's daughter in a viral clip. And this is actually coming because Luka's team, Sevilla, won against Nikola's team with an actually good number of margin. And then, after the match, there's a video showing Nikola and Luka with his child getting a very big high five, like she was a fan, and it was really commendable in the spirit of sportsmanship. But that also brings the question: should there be a form of rivalry in the competition?
Kako je šla ta tekma? 106 proti 72 je končni rezultat. Nikola Jokic.
Someone, let it not be like I'm pushing for. Because if I lost the game, I don't think I might be in the right frame of mind to do something like that.
Kako je šla ta tekma? 106 proti 72 je končni rezultat. Nikola Jokic.
I like to always involve the other parts, of entertainment.
And it goes beyond
as
sports.
well.
It just shows the person's character.
Yes,
This is,
rather than rivalry, I feel like hatred is it makes no sense. Basically, it's a game, it's a sport. I like the fact that it is also inculcated in these trainings. It is you see for football you are required to shake your opponent or stuff like that. Other sports too, it is required. I feel also too they should also entertainment self should adopt this, because so that we'll have less of whiskey than and Davido banter online. Anyways.
But then what if, Serena, I don't know if you would like to add on this, but what if the drive for some of these players is that, okay, they actually keep an unfriendly, again, not hostile, not hate, an unfriendly, they keep that competition active by, not engaging with the opponent player. Okay, if I'm playing against you, I actually have no business being involved with you or being friendly with you. What if that is the drive for some of these players?
That's okay if that's your own mentality. That's okay if that's what you think is best. Okay, I just feel like there's really no need for that.
Okay,
because
I think love for the game is
there's really no
be
need
a
for
good
that.
motivator. You don't need to hate your opponent. You don't need to have rivalry with your opponent. You can just be there, being your best, and representing and do you understand? Doing your best, representing whatever team you are playing for, and being the best version of yourself per time. You don't need to hate anyone. I feel that there is no need for that. It's just a game at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Nothing personal.
Exactly. And when you cheer for others, people also cheer for you. I don't see any need in the whole rivalry.
But then a quick sub branch. This is now football. This is basketball we're talking about. But what about sports, like boxing or the UFC, whereby they actually have to exchange punches, kicks within each other? Sometimes it gets bloody. Should there also be the same? Because I can imagine having two people fighting, and then one has a swollen face, one doesn't, and then they're still maintaining that friendly level.
Well,
but then again, like you said, it's actually a reflection of the person's character.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with it, fine, if that works for you. But at the end of the day, make sure you maintain a good sportsmanship spirit and there is no hate between you guys. Moving on and bringing it back to the Nigerian scene also. This time around, we're not dragging the country, we're promoting success, because the Nigerian Eagles team, the Nigerian Eagles deaf team, begins their title defense with a 3-0 victory against Cote-D-Ivoire. And this is actually a very laudable thing, because it is because when I saw it, I was like, I didn't know that the Nigerian team was playing, but then the word there caught me, deaf, the Nigerian deaf football team. The fact that they are actually champions. They were champions before, and then they are still retaining that same title by starting their games with a 3-0 lead, because the match started with a goalless first half, and then in the second half they gained their traction and they won, by 3-0. So, like, what do you think about the Paralympics world? The fact that we actually have a team that is representing us properly well.
And Nigerians are winners everywhere.
I think
That's
it's a good thing.
basically
Yeah,
what-
it's a good thing.
That's just basically whether you're deaf, whether you're dumb, whether you're paralyzed, whether you're whatever it is. Nigerians are winners,
They're very
and
smart.
I like the fact that we go out there. We see it being demonstrated. They go out there and then they win these matches, despite the failure in our tech. Despite Nigeria being Nigeria, they represent us, and then they win these matches, and it's a laudable thing. I love this. Goal.
And
Nigerian
I think
deaf
it's a really good
Eagles.
thing. This goes out to show that these people are not being left out. Because they're disabled doesn't mean they should be left out, right? So it shows that they count. Everybody counts. So I think it's a really, really laudable thing. I like the fact that there's something like that, something like deaf people's
being
sport.
represented
Yeah,
as well.
I really do.
But I think we could actually go a step further. I didn't watch this match because I didn't see it. I don't even know where
was a league.
this was
Apparently,
played.
they have their own full league in a West African deaf football league.
They have their own leagues,
Yes.
and we don't get to
hear
of
about
it,
this,
until we
regularly.
just
Proper
see
coverage.
this. Yeah, proper coverage. Yes, thank you. We don't get to have proper coverage, and we need more of this to promote this, to show other deaf people that despite the fact that you're deaf, you can actually there's a league that accommodates
Yeah,
you.
there's
That's not the end to your dream. These people also have dreams. They also want to be footballers. They also want to sprint. They also want to be sprinters. They also want to do other things. They don't feel like this particular what they call it
Sport.
not sport condition
Yeah.
has to
Okay, yes. Put
shape
them down. True.
stop
Yeah.
their dreams and everything.
Limits them. from
Limit
doing
them
things.
exactly. So they have they can aspire to anything. They want to be football players. Why not? If they want to do this one, why not? There's a league for them, and they are being represented, and then they can achieve their dreams.
Yeah, it brings hope. It
True.
brings hope.
I feel like the continent in general, Africa in general, should invest more in discovery, because I believe we're a big continent that whatever sport we're going into, we have enough countries, enough participants to create a very entertaining game, a very entertaining league in whatever sport it is, because we're looking at places like Europe where they have several leagues football where our players even go there, not just Nigeria. African countries where in the basketball world, there are countries where we have really tall people that are always being scouted by the NBA. And then in football, so we can see them, in the EPL, the La Liga, League One. So I believe that Africa should also invest, as a continent, we should invest and focus really well and invest in this sports world, in the coverage, in the leagues and whatnot, because it generates money and then it puts us out there too, so that we don't really have to send our people out there, but we can bring it also home where people come to join us. And then moving on to the DTigers, the Afro-Basket football, the Afro-Basket League of basketball. On Sunday we beat Cameroon with a 99-90 lead in our
Good
match.
one.
Which, sorry, before you start clapping, we actually won them, and then we moved to the quarterfinals where we were supposed to face Senegal, which we did on Sunday. Unfortunately, we were kicked out by a very compelling win from Senegal. And the news here now is that the Tigers coach Mohamed Abdulrahman confesses that Senegal outclassed us in almost every department. This is actually sad coming from the coach himself giving this confession. Yes, he did commend the players because they played well, but then he also still confessed that Senegal outclassed us in almost every form, in their play, in their structure. That will also bring us still back to the question of what really is being done. It's not just about our players winning and then that's when they are being rewarded, but then during the course of their games, like what motivation, what preparations actually, what funds are being put to make sure that they are comfortable in their travels. Yes.
We're back to that conversation.
We're back.
Our government really needs to put. I feel like we keep saying this thing, but I'm looking forward to a government that actually puts money, puts money where their mouth is. These are the people representing us. These are the people bringing glories to our name as Nigeria. They're the ones putting Nigeria on the map. and they deserve to be taken care of, down to the facilities that they use. Where do these people sleep in? When what conditions do these people play ball? I heard some years ago that they weren't paid for a while. Some years ago that was, I don't know about now. Okay, recently we heard about them being commended, giving certain monies. Is it after a certain long while of
Exactly.
not being paid or whatnot? Do you understand? These are the stories that we get to hear. We need to actually want to see a lot being done. Let me hear that our facilities, our football facilities are being renovated. Our players are being put on the best care. They have health insurances abroad. Do they have health insurances? Do our players break leg and then that's the end of it? What are the environments in which they play under that help them, that boost their morale to play better? These are the things that this person was talking about. Outclassed them. So there's a lot of things that was put into play.
I agree with you, and in my opinion, the coach shouldn't have said that. I mean, these are people that put in a lot of efforts to represent the country. So even if you should encourage them, not just when they do. Yeah, not just when they play well, they are being commended, and then when they don't.
No, he did mention that. Okay, they played well. The Senegal was actually the 5-time retaining champion. Like they have won 5 times.
5 times in a row.
And it's not like we're not that good. Yes, we actually had a 3-game streak prior to Cameroon's game on Sunday. We actually had a 3-game winning streak.
But there's something he was talking about. Yes, when he said outclassed.
Yeah, they outclassed. He said they outclassed us in every department in the gameplay. So what exactly it is that our players are lacking in terms of certain, what exactly is he trying to say? This is what we're bringing back. That
so it's more like a logo, because he is the coach, right?
Yeah, certain things were lacking, in that department. And this is something that, I commend the National Sports Commission, because recently they have been making great moves in different sports segments, and they have been making progress. They are making reforms. But then how fast can these reforms be put in place? They can be active, that we can start seeing them already. But then that's all we have today on sports. And it has been an amazing session today at the studio on the morning break at Breaking Times. And I remain Abbas Muhammad, and with me here in the studio, we had a wonderful session.
I loved this session. I'm happy to be here as well. It's been that it's my first time here on this show. I remain Barry.
And I remain Serena.
We hope to see you next time on the morning break.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.